What's going on, guys? So we have an interesting video in store for you today, and this is certainly one a lot of people ask about anytime we talk about RV air conditioning units, specifically rooftop air conditioning units. Now we have 4 different types of AC units on the 2 RVs out here, and this is intentional because I wanted to be able to do this specific video for you guys. So I've been on top of the roof of the RVs multiple times swapping out units to eventually get to a point to where we could do a true sound level check and see which ones actually operate at a lower volume level than the others. Now I know there's always conversations around inverters or variable speed fans and different things like that that make the RV units more efficient, but at the end of the day, believe it or not, most people end up caring most about how loud it is and if you can carry on a conversation, if it's pleasant inside. And that's what the video today is going to talk about. We have a sound level meter that we're going to be using on all of the RV AC units to be able to see specifically how loud they perform in comparison to one another. The units that we have on top of the RV today, first of all, starting with the Surveyor up front, the newest of all the units is that one right there, and that is actually made by a company called Turbro. Probably the strangest name I've ever heard. It's the Greenland unit, and this one is going to be a variable speed inverter air conditioning system. So it's going to have variable fan speed, and it's an inverter compressor, which means it's going to ramp up very slowly. Great for drawing the least amount of power. Then we have a Furrion chill cube. Up front over here we have the Tosot. That is a non-inverter AC, but it has a variable speed fan on it. It's kind of a traditional AC. Both the Greenland and the Tosot have heat pumps built into them. Then we have the Coleman Mach system that came on this RV, and this is one of their quieter systems. So this is a 13,500 BTU system. It is a quiet, cool system from Coleman. And then we have a Furrion chill cube ducted. So we have the ducted and the non-ducted version of the Furrion that we'll be testing today. Okay, so in front of me we have our sound level tester that we'll be using for this video, and you can see just by talking the volume increases and the dBs increase, basically how loud this is registering the sound is. When we're quiet it drops down to about 41, but there's always ambient sounds going on, including all my pest repellents and rodent repellent devices, as well as just the wind in general, and a lot of ambient sound that is still around even if you think it is completely quiet. And everything is causing this thing to go up. And we're going to start with the Coleman Mach air conditioning unit, which is right there in the center. We're going to kick it on, and we're going to see just how loud it is. And we're going to try to space this meter equal distance from all of the units. Okay, so ambient sound inside of the Brookstone is about 42 decibels, 41, 42. Not very loud. When the little rodent repeller that's in the basement area goes off, it spikes it up a little bit, but roughly 41, 42 decibels. So let's go ahead and kick on the Coleman Mach air conditioning system up here and see how loud it is. And we're going to hold it about 3 feet away from the very center of each air conditioning unit to try to get the best possible, unbiased outcome. Even though I think most people care about how it sounds on ground level, basically where you'll be sitting. But again, the point of this is to try to make this as balanced and fair as possible. So let's go ahead and kick the AC on. We'll drop this down to about 70 degrees. That'll definitely kick it on. We're going to put this on fan high. There we go. So now it's on high and cool mode. About 3 feet away. Compressor just kicked on. About 62 decibels. Much lower than normal conversational volumes because you can hear me talking and actually see it spiking up to around 75 decibels. Let's just say 62 decibels. And that's going to be the Coleman Mach air conditioning unit. Okay, back down to about 41. Now we're going to turn the Furrion chill cube non-ducted. So this is the one that's actually running through the ducting system. You can open up the vents right there if you want to direct fire it down. But let's go ahead and turn this one on. And we're going to set the temperature to its lowest setting. And we'll put the fan at its highest setting. I'll probably even put it on turbo. Like it's a little over 2 decibels, roughly 2 decibels quieter, which, believe it or not, that's actually significantly quieter. So let's say roughly 1.5 decibels quieter. A lot of people are aware that it doesn't take much of a decibel increase to represent doubling in sound volume or sound pressure, and typically it takes about 3 decibels to represent doubling of sound pressure, but it actually takes closer to 10 dBs before you can really tell that the sound is being increased or not. So even though 3 dBs is doubling of the sound pressure, 10 dBs is really when you can tell that the sound is being increased or it's louder. Okay, so we have the rodent noise generator that's about 5 feet beneath us here, so it's going to go off occasionally. But you can see that the ambient noise drops down to around 41 dB. We are now in the bedroom area, and we have the Tosot unit. It's lower on the ceiling, so we'll have to hold the sound level meter a little bit lower, but we're going to go ahead and power this one on. We have it turned down all the way, and the fan is set on its highest level, I think. Yep, there's its highest level. I'm going to do this one in 2 different ways. First of all, it has the registers coming off of the end. We'll check the sound pressure directly beneath it, and then we'll open up the direct fire here in the center, which is closed currently, to see how loud it is. We'll shift the microphone over so it's not being blown on directly. So it's about 3 dB quieter than the Furrion chill ducted unit, and about 4 decibels, 4.5 decibels quieter than the Coleman unit so far. Yep, the compressor is certainly on. Now let's go ahead and direct dump it. So if you have the air coming directly down from the center, it increases to about the same volume, about 61.5 dB. And then when I close that, look at that, 56, 57 dB. So far, the Tosot is absolutely the quietest. It's not even close. It is significantly quieter, and I love the fact that you can control it via Wi-Fi remotely, and it has a heat pump built into it, which is really nice, plus variable speed fan, so you can really adjust the intensity of the air being blown on you. Don't like that the registers are over here and on the other side. I wish they were along this channel so you could really funnel the air where you want it to go, but so far the Tosot is certainly the quietest of the 3 units we've tested. Let's move on. Okay, so next we're inside of the Surveyor. We're going to test the Turbro. Again, terrible name, but Turbro Inverter AC. So this one has an inverter to ramp it up slowly from an amperage perspective, which means this one's probably going to be the most power friendly amongst all of these, except maybe the Furrion Chill Cube, which also has an inverter on it. But we're going to go ahead and turn on the Turbro. Ambient sound in here, again, roughly 41 dB. So let's go ahead and get this kicked on. Okay, I can actually hear the inverter kind of ramping up now. We're at about 62 to 63 decibels on this one. So this one is a little bit louder than the Chill Cube ducted in the Brookstone. About 1.5 decibels to 2 decibels louder. And I can tell, you know, you can absolutely tell that this is louder than the others. Again, the big perks of this unit, again, Wi-Fi controlled, which is really nice. Plus, it has a heat pump built into it, and it utilizes an inverter for the compressor, so it ramps up really slowly and doesn't pull a tremendous amount of draw. But about 2 decibels louder than the next loudest one, which would be the Furrion Chill Cube ducted. So far the order of all of this would be the Tosot is the quietest by far, coming in at about 58 decibels, followed by the Coleman Quiet Cool, and that one comes in right at about 59 to 60 decibels. And then the Furrion Chill Cube ducted, which comes in at about 61 to 62 decibels. And then the Turbro, which comes in at about 63 to 64 decibels. But I have a feeling as if the non-ducted version of the Chill Cube is probably going to perform pretty well. So let's get this one shut down, and let's move over to that one. Okay, so I have the Chill Cube non-ducted on turbo, fastest fan speed, on cool. Definitely feel this one blowing. Let's see. So 61-ish decibels. Say 60.5 to 61.5 decibels. So this one is just a hair quieter than the ducted version of the Chill Cube. It is significantly louder than the Tosot unit, which is in the front bedroom of the Brookstone. It is about the same, a little bit louder than the Coleman Quiet Cool system, and it is significantly quieter than the Turbro. So the Turbro right now is the loudest amongst all of them, but some of the perks that the Turbro has might actually outweigh the volume. But in my opinion, it's not loud compared to like a traditional. I wish I still had one of the original Furrion Chill units, not the Chill Cube, but the Furrion Chill unit inside of here, so I could give you kind of an idea of how loud that is, because that is significantly louder than any of the ACs we've tested. If you're looking purely for efficiency, I would have to say that the Chill Cube non-ducted seems to put out the most volume of air, because you can really feel a lot of air coming out of this unit. The Turbro puts out a reasonable amount of air, but because these louvers are on the side and you can't adjust them, you really have no directional capability of where you want to point that air. This is also the loudest, but it does use an inverter, so it's going to be very, very economical for pulling on a generator or pulling on a power source. It's going to ramp up really slowly. Smaller generators should be able to power this. And it's also going to give you a heat pump, which is really nice, plus some cool LED accent lights around the upper trim. If you are looking for the quietest amongst all of them, it's absolutely the Tosot. The Tosot is a traditional air conditioner. It has a variable speed fan. A lot of the same cool features as like this one, as well as the Furrion Chill Cube, except again, it does not run an inverter. It does have a soft start kit that we installed on it, but it is absolutely the quietest amongst all of them. You have the ability for the louvers to swing, which is really nice, but you don't have a tremendous amount of directional air capability because of how things are positioned on it. The Coleman Quiet Cool system, the Mach system that actually came on the Brookstone, is a very quiet unit. It's actually extremely quiet. It's ducted, performs really well, but it does not ramp up softly. So you would have to have a soft start kit added to it, or you'd have to take that into account whenever you're powering it up. And then the Furrion Chill Cube ducted, which is in the back of the Brookstone, is also very quiet, but I do not feel as if it's as efficient from an airflow perspective as the non-ducted version. It just doesn't feel as if it pushes as much air through the ducting as the Coleman that we removed. Even though it has like 4.5 to 5 BTUs more cooling capacity than the Coleman, it just doesn't perform as well, in my opinion, from a ducted environment. Neither of the Furrion Chill Cubes have heat pumps in the versions we have, even though they are telling me that they will have a heat pump version of it soon. But in my opinion, the most efficient of everyone that we've had from a cooling perspective, and the amount of airflow you get is definitely the Furrion Chill Cube. The quietest with the most features would definitely be the Tosot unit. Still a good unit right here. Again, a lot more efficient in terms of power draw from a generator or battery system, but it's a lot louder. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. I'm kind of a fan of all the systems. They've all performed pretty dang well. But I do like the ability to get as much air on me as possible in the quietest configuration. So I'd have to say I liked the Coleman unit that came on the Brookstone, and I like the Furrion Chill Cube non-ducted version the best out of all of them. I love the Wi-Fi capability and the heat pump capability, though, of the Turbro, but more importantly, I love how quiet the Tosot is. So I hope this has given you kind of an unbiased view of all these AC units and perhaps which one you might want for your next RV or to replace on top of your existing RV. Anyways, I will put links to the ones that I can put links to in the description of this video, so you can kind of go and pick your own based on the specs you're looking for, and hopefully this video has been informative. Anyways, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.